为你推荐一个电影《Spinning Plates》。这个电影呢，在美国已经获得了好几个重要的奖项。那么，他说的是一个主厨的故事，但说的其实是一个不肯放弃自己一个小人物的故事。从厨艺学校毕业之后，虽然他有一技之长，可是他看的眼光是世界级的眼光，所以他马上呢就向全美国最著名的主厨之一，不断的希望能够得到面试的机会。他的方法是什么？就轰炸性的天天投履历，最后逼着这个主厨不得不跟他见面。他就是现在美国最著名的第一主厨，名字叫做 Grant Achatz。可是 Achatz 呢，他当上了他本来想象中的名主厨的副手之后，他并没有停留在那里。当时他已经注意到西班牙分子料理的崛起，所以马上就跑到了西班牙的斗牛犬餐厅里头，又学习了一段时间，后来才回到了美国。然后接着，人生从来不是一条平坦的路，他得了癌症，而且他得的癌症是什么呢？他得的癌症是舌癌。你可以想象，一个主厨对他最重要的就是他的嗅觉以及他的舌头嘛。而得了舌癌之后，他怎么面对人生呢？让我们来看这个电影。
I mean, something like this, I think would be perfect. This is nuts.
You're taking it, cutting in half, hollowing, piping in the mousse.
Putting them back together, wrapping in pork, and then in cheesecloth, and then braising them, and then cutting back into circles, into coins, like that. And then the first meat's in the middle, and you put like 3 of them kind of shingled. Napped with sauce, a couple of herbs. It's really cool. So this machine here, called the volcano, it forces hot air through this chamber, and we're able to fill whatever we want in the chamber. Aromatics, flowers, herbs. So in this case, I have some pine needles. Just gonna shoot hot air through here. Turn on the machine. Immediately you smell the pine aroma coming through. Slip the bag over the end. The bag then slowly inflates with the aroma of pine needle. We then take the corner of the bag that was exposed, seal it off with an industrial bag sealer, take a syringe, poke some very small holes in the bag, and we calculated the number of holes that it takes based on the weight of the plate to force out the air in a very consistent and time-release manner. Put the bag in the pillowcase. The plate goes on top of the pillow, and the weight of the plate and the food slowly forces that pine aroma out and envelops the diner with the smell of pine branches. Look at that. I mean, that just looks cool, right? If I put that down in front of you at a restaurant, you would freak out. If there's a bite of food right here, right? So now I go like this, right? And I go, okay? What's my next move?
Exactly.
Now I know it probably is this because I'm looking at it. I was in London for the world's 50 best awards, and me and Heather went to the Tate Modern. We're walking around this Moreau exhibit, and every painting that I looked at was food, like just pulses of energy coming in. And we start talking about composing a sculpture of forks and spoons and knives and chopsticks and with food embedded on them, all based off of a 90-second view of a painting at the Tate Modern. And to me, like, that's what this restaurant's all about.
So if there is something that literally just clips this, and maybe this gets balanced like this, and there's, you know, because there's different ways that people use a fork as well, which I was thinking.
Right. Like some people use the back
of this. We should definitely play off of how people eat with a fork.
But the order has to make sense too. So if this is my first bite, it has to be very premeditated, This is my second bite, boom. There has to be like a progression of flavor. And then you come to this one, and then finally you get the payoff. You get the bloody piece of beef, or whatever it is. And it leads you on this journey. Hours go into producing what is basically a 2.5 bite course. From the moment that people walked in the door at 6 a.m. and they put a pot of soy milk on the induction burner and they started to pull the sheets of yuba and roll them. Somebody filleting the shrimp, somebody pickling the onions, somebody making the orange taffy, right up until the point that it was first served in the restaurant, 12 hours for one bite. I mean, 12 hours, 5 people. It's absurd. It's absurd. And that's what we deal with every day. We deal with the absurd. Dining at Alinea is about letting yourself go, trusting us to guide you through an experience, to grab you by the hand and pull you along our journey. It's exhilarating, it's emotional. Hopefully you walk away with a full stomach and a smile on your face and feel like you've basically just sat through a great performance, a great movie, a great play. You've just read a great book in the last 3.5 hours. If you're confronted with obstacles early on in your life and emotional letdowns, highs, lows, maybe you understand life at an early age. Maybe you understand that it's highly volatile. Life is unpredictable. And so 15 years later, a doctor is looking at you from 3 feet away saying, you know, there's a 75% chance that you're gonna die. You just go, okay. There's the great irony, the chef with tongue cancer.
Once radiation started, he was so barely functioning. Like he couldn't really eat. Had to take a topical anesthetic, like just slather it all over his mouth just to get water down. And he would come into work.
He was still putting in the 14, 15 hours a day minus travel to and from the doctor pretty much until he couldn't function. And I feel like it was maybe 3 weeks of being completely out of the restaurant. But aside from that, like, if he could walk, he was here.
When the public thought Alinea was at its most vulnerable and its least perfect, was exactly the opposite because of them.
Finding this team of doctors when we did, at literally the 11th hour. And then, 3 months later, he's cancer-free and he's got his tongue. Pretty cool.
You have people that are surrounding themselves with everything that they feel safe with. And then you come to Alinea and you walk, the moment you open the front door, you're confronted with something that's not normal. The hallway is this false perspective. You're not really sure where you are. The food comes out, it challenges you, it's different than anything you've ever seen. Why? Well, you're here to experience something that you've never felt before, but something that you recognize in yourself. You've already said to yourself, I'm going to figure out who I am in a way by experiencing something that I might be uncomfortable with. You're basically stripping away all the armor and you're saying, here's who I am.
看一下周五的美国股市。周五的美国股市呢，再次出现了上涨的局面。全球本来都在屏息看着周五美国所公布的非农业的就业数据，结果就业数据出奇的好。那么美股呢，我们看周五的时候分别上涨了0.52%、0.59%跟0.46%。一整周呢，因为欧洲央行在周四的时候公布了震撼全世界金融海啸以来第一个主要的央行公布了负利率，这使得这个礼拜呢，很多股市都呈现大涨的局面。美股道琼指数大涨了207.11点，涨幅1.24%； NASDAQ 指数大涨了1.86点，来到了4321.40； S&P 指数呢，已经来到了1949.44，涨幅1.34%。而欧元对美元的部分呢，在周四的时候，也就是欧洲央行公布负利率的时候，一度跌到了1.35左右的价位，最后在中场的时候反弹回来。在礼拜五的时候呢，欧元小跌了0.15%，还是回到了1.3641。一般的看法是，本来欧洲央行实施负利率以后，欧元应该走贬，但是很多人认为这个情况也可能导致非常多人大幅的买进欧洲的资产，所以呢，欧元并没有像原来欧洲央行的想法一样，它可以走贬啊。那么走贬呢，对于欧元将来欧元区的一些国家，它的出口有帮助，对于他们还欧债也有帮助。但至少这个负利率的实施，已经使得过去我们所说的欧洲5国几个国家的国债殖利率都创下了新低。我们来看法国的股市，法国的股市呢，在欧洲央行宣布开始实施负利率以后，周四到周五之间呢，就涨了1.78%。希腊的部分涨幅最高，在2天之内大涨了4.33%。意大利指数呢，也上涨了2天之内3.09%。而国际的黄金价格呢，大概也认为说，过去有很多资产认为欧洲已经慢慢复苏，但欧洲央行认为它的复苏非常的缓慢。那么从过去的0.3，在第一季的时候跌到0.2，所以国际黄金价格呢，在本周的时候认为有一些资产呢，或是有一些相关的资金会在流出欧元区，所以在本周的时候上涨了0.66%，一度国际黄金价格在礼拜四之前是出现大贬的状况。另外一个情况是马来西亚公布了相当好的经济数据，那么这使得马来西亚在礼拜四欧洲央行一宣布负利率消息之后，是亚洲货币里头涨幅最高的。在本周呢，马币呢是从周四到周五上涨了0.54%，台币的部分呢，周四到周五是上涨了0.07%。待会儿我回到文茜世界财经周报，为大家分析这一次欧洲央行实施负利率对全球经济的影响。